It comes a time in our lives where we find a thing that brings us true happiness. Happiness is something we strive for. True joy. Things we find hope in. Things we hope to find in happiness. So what we want to do is take us on this journey here. Find out what makes us happy, what gives us hope, and what crushes those feelings. Join us.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Intros with a prop. Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. All right.
We're back.
Another day, another episode of the UnP
That one felt pretty quick.
with myself, Dan.
And me, Nick, folks.
Mm-hmm.
During the intro, I'd never done this before. I was slowly turning this as I spoke those words.
He was getting...
It felt more real, more visceral.
Yeah.
Let me deliver.
Yeah, because I guess what we're talking about is very abstract.
Mm-hmm. This episode would definitely not get cut.
Yeah, nothing concrete here, guys.
This is what the people tune into a podcast for. Something that doesn't have to do with anything.
At all.
At all, folks.
So,
you got any definitions?
I have a good quote.
To start with.
So this is really about uncertainty, hope, joy, happiness, and laughter, I think.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, so I got a quote.
Okay.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. Ha ha. That's part of the quote. Ha ha, I'm out of here, sucker.
Woo!
Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption.
That's Andy's quote?
Mm-hmm.
Where does he write that one? In the letter at the end? It's weird because I'm hearing it in Morgan Freeman's voice, so he's reading it, so it's in a letter. Okay, that's so funny. I would have attributed the quote to him. Who do you attribute that quote to?
If he's reading, that is weird, isn't it? Because it's written by a guy that didn't actually write it.
Yeah, and or say it out loud.
Didn't say it out loud either.
That's so weird. That's we found a loophole. That's a Morgan. I wonder who the quote's by in IMDb.
It's the quote. It's like letter. The letter has all these famous quotes.
Letter, and then from Andy Dufresne, possibly.
Yes.
Or another cast member, or the writer of the show, I guess. Huh.
So
wow.
Is there any key thing that you want to touch on? I know through all your research.
I want to touch on how hope isn't real.
Yeah. Happiness isn't a thing.
Happiness isn't a thing. And loss of happiness is also not a thing. So, we're in luck, folks.
Get used to it.
We're not happy or we're not sad. Everything's totally the exact same every day.
So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Is that I had a job interview, and it's one of those things. No, you did too. There's a possibility that things change. There's a routine in normal life that you get used to, and the routine, people get comfortable or they get bored. So there's like two different types of people who love routine or just get tired of it. And happiness is really one of those ambiguous things where you're choosing between what you think might make you happier, grass is greener, or you could be dooming yourself to have a shittier life and you have no idea. You're just fleeting towards something.
If you change.
Or you could stay still and still be unhappy.
I'm going to save us all some time. So the end of the episode is us going to be saying, no matter what the F you do, it's the way you internalize everything that's happening around you that makes up your emotions. It has nothing to do with the outside world. So folks, just learn to change your insides. There, that's what we're going to do at the end, I bet you.
No, I would say the only constant thing is change, right? Just embrace the change.
But you can stay the same. There's a lot of people who do the same route to work every day. Yeah. They stop and get coffee at the same place. They do lunch at the same place every day. They get the same paycheck. They do everything the same, and they're happy, I think. Some of them.
I don't know how. That's what baffles me, is that I'll take different routes. I'll be like, I haven't been down this road in a while. And it's like,
look at this guy.
I'm living on the edge by taking a right 1 minute early. And then quickly
and running
making
parallel
a U-turn.
With the same road.
I can't do that. I can't do this. I don't know. I can do it.
All right, hold on. This is literally a quiz because a guy came into my work today, and I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm back at my old job. I quit the other job. Whatever. Mm-hmm. So an old customer, frustumer. I don't want to call them frustumers.
Like a frustrated customer, or your
no, a friend customer. Customer.
A frustumer. Frisky or customer.
This is someone I would get frisky with. Well, anyway, this gentleman came in, and he, I didn't realize he likes the TV shows I like and stuff. Oh. So then he was like, the Tom Cruise one where they predict the future, like crimes. And I was like, yeah, crimey. And we couldn't think of the name for like 5 straight minutes, and we were both talking about it. And could you figure it out? I'm putting you on the spot for a reason.
True Detective?
Nope. No, Tom Cruise. I think you saw it.
Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah. And
Minority Report.
Damn it, he got it right away. It took us like 8 minutes because we refused to look it up online.
He's not a good friend.
I was like, true crime. I was like, precogs. His son's dead. And I just started saying parts of the movie, hoping it would
Cliches.
New eyeballs. He has new eyeballs. Spoiler alert, I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that is that, damn, I forget where I was going with that.
You were best friends with your friend Nimi?
It was before that.
I don't know where you were going.
Where were you going?
You distracted me, so I don't know where I was going either.
Oh no, we ruined the episode. We have to turn it off.
I was going to quiz you on what year they came out.
Oh, go ahead. 2005.
I'm going to say that was probably 2002.
It could be. I was going with 3 now. I'm changing my mind because I think it was in high school. Maybe not.
You're wrong. It's set in 2054.
So what year did it come out?
It was 2002. I was right.
Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. Did you get it spot on?
Yeah, I did.
Look at this guy. Are you one of those guys? When did 7 come out?
7. They came out in 1994.
I would have said 95. So I think, or 97. No. Now I want to know if you're right. I could do this for the whole episode.
95.
Damn. Yes. I said 5 or 7. Well, I picked 2, so I'm like cheating. I understand.
So I guess
so it doesn't count.
So this is part of happiness. To bring it back, it's the delta. It's the expectation that you're setting and believing that you're going to make a positive change, or that you guessed correctly in the year.
So what we're saying, and we're going to end up at, we'll come back to this exact thing, is that if you're constantly constant, you're maintaining something. You're not getting sad. You're level.
Yeah.
You're at a plateau.
Content.
The only way to get happy is to risk it.
Content and happy.
Risk it. I don't know about happy, but it's not sad. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's the awkwardness of trying to define what happiness is.
Well, I think happiness is when you take a risk or make a change and it ends up better than what you thought it would be. But in taking that risk, you're also putting yourself at the risk for having a worse time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but in there is your own motivation
reward.
And energy. Yeah.
I guess a reward.
Putting energy into things makes them better too. Like if you've played a video game for a long time or watched a series for 10 years, only to watch it shit the bed at the end, you could be...
I actually don't think so. I think the series is doing fine, and everyone who thinks it is like, people were like, no. I would have finished the entire 8 seasons where I had no predictions that held up because it's out of control, wild, and made me feel crazy, weird, and mad, and I wanted a 13-year-old to choke to death. I would have ended it differently. Which I think it's unfair to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think for them to do this way is fine. Okay. Let's not get into that.
Sure. Guess what series we're talking about.
Guess what series? Actually, how funny would it be if I'm defending the show and we're literally recording this right before the last episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the last episode could be like the biggest pile of shit ever.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Or the best.
And I'm here defending
Be
it.
corrected.
Or I could be.
Hope.
We're going to look back.
Let's hope. I hope it's
a great thing.
Amazing. Odds are.
I hope so as well. Can we actually get up some Wikipedia definitions for 3 words?
Sure. I would like to insert. Oh, you want to know what?
Oh, go ahead. I actually want to know what Wikipedia says.
The feeling of happiness, this is not Wikipedia, is apparently like dopamine levels and like cortisol and everything that makes you de-stress, makes you happy, euphoric. The feeling is actually a chemical response to what you believe to be a positive response, positive input.
So happiness is a chemical response?
That's what I believe. So happiness is used in the context of mental or emotional state, including positive or pleasant emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy. It is also used in context of life satisfaction, subjective well-being, eudaimonia.
Sounds like euphoria, so we'll go with like a euphoric type thing.
Human flourishing or prosperity, a blessedness, eudaimonia, and well-being. And well-being.
Okay. I buy it. Can you also look up hope? Those are like 2 of the most biggest, abstractest things, and I didn't do any.
I don't know how. Yeah, hope is an optimistic state of mind that is based on an expectation of positive outcomes with respect to events and circumstances in one's life or the world at large. Expect with confidence.
Is hope realistic? Is that what that kind of said?
To cherish desire with anticipation. It seems like it's controllable through the human mind, how much you hope.
But I mean, it's also, what's weird is that it seems like it has to be realistic to be hope. Like, you can't hope unicorns fart rainbow poops and you're magically turned into a golden fairy dust and that you have $1 billion. Like,
it seems limited by the possibilities that you believe are possible.
Yeah, because of yes, exactly. Yeah. So what it said in the thing was something like limitations of either your own life or society's expectations.
So I had this one from a coworker. I don't know, something happened to her, but then she was...
Get into details, dude. She got beat by her husband.
No idea.
She had...
I really don't know.
Really dark.
I'm not trying to like conceal it.
Things.
Like,
no,
it's like something bad that she's like physically not well.
She beat her husband?
Yeah, she's pretty badass. But
nice.
She said something to the effect like that. So this is religious, and people probably beat me down. But she said something to the effect of like, "We're here because God put us here." And then like, I was like, okay, like that doesn't bother me. And then like she said something to like, "He can do with us what he wills." And I was like, okay, like whatever you want to believe. And then she said like, if we're happy, we're meant to be happy. If we're sad, we're meant to be sad. And I was like,
pushing that one a little far.
Yeah. And then she pretty much
your
like
life just literally
faded.
An extension of what God wants you to do.
Exactly.
Then what's the point of anything? It's like, he wants me to be happy here. It's like, okay. He wants me to be sad here. It's like, okay. Well, when does he want you to do you? I'm just curious here.
Yeah. What part of this is your act?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
Are you on for this ride, or are you just watching this?
So that's another thing that's weird. Is if you have faith, you might be content because your belief is that
hope.
You believe that you're hopeful because you're taken care of, but it's also delusional and like you have no control. So it's also pretty scary to me because I want control of my own life.
Well, there's 2 kinds of people: ones who want control and ones who go wild. I mean, that's documented. There are type A, type B, type things. In fact, that's probably where we differ the most, right?
Then you're like a wild one? Or are you trying to...
Oh my God, dude. I just let life happen. From just the injuries
you
I
wouldn't
talked
be like
about before.
hedonistic? That's not hedonistic, though. You're not like chasing your desires. You're just letting it happen. You're more passive.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I'm going with the river, dude. 100%. You would freak out in my life, in my shoes. You'd be like, oh my God, I don't know what... How does he? Oh my God! Like, I think that's true. This is where we differ the most in that respect.
So part of this is like in certain conversations where I don't know people at all, larger groups, and I want to say something. I get in my head and I'm like, I gotta think of something. I gotta think. Like, But I start thinking about what I need to think about, which is thinking about something, and I'm just like blanking.
Yeah, thinking about.
Yeah, I'm thinking about something. Like that's what I'm thinking about. It's like I'm not in the moment at that point when I'm like trying too hard.
Well, you can't turn your brain off.
You can, and you get stuck in a loop sometimes, and that's exactly where I was. To be like, think of something good, and I was like trying to think of thinking.
Is this at your job interview? I think that's where we got derailed.
Yeah. So there's when we talk about the job interview.
Sure, you brought it up for a reason. Happiness, hope.
Yeah, because there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of change. There's discontent, and then there's a financial aspect that probably doesn't factor into it for me. Like the money doesn't feel like it's money unless it's leaving my hands or coming into my hands.
Don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not trying to undercut you on the podcast, but you bring it up a lot in your text to me. This one makes this much, or this one makes this much. So even if it doesn't run your life, you do think about it. In fact, more than anything, you probably try and game it, like in a game, like a video game, where you can get the most reward for the least action.
Yeah, I'm going to stockpile my money so that I can get out of the whole rat race faster, so that I can then live whatever life
highest potion
is left after that.
Sure.
Shell of a man gives up his soul, and
well, you're not giving. I mean, I'll give you credit. You're not giving up your soul.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to game the system to level up faster.
Yeah.
Does everything come back to video games, I guess?
For me, it does. I think I learned a lot through video games about myself, that like the different situations that you're faced with. You'll never face those situations that much in real life.
So hold on. My son plays video games. He's way too young for them, but he plays them. He's going to be a gamer. Are video games going to shape his ideas about the world, like in the way that yours are? Or did you learn about yourself through video games? Like, were you always trying to save coins and level up? Or does saving coins and leveling up as a youth make you want to do that as an adult?
I just want coins. Lots of coins. No, have you ever felt the game change your mindset? Like it got into your brain?
Yeah. What Remains of Edith Finch? Did you play that one eventually?
I did not.
Damn, my friend just did. There's a simulator where it's a first-person shooter, but like a casual. It's called casual or walking simulator. There's no shooting. You can't die. Mm-hmm. You just have to complete the tasks it puts in front of you. An event. It's like a puzzle kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even get into it.
You're gonna ruin it for people?
Chopping fish. No, I don't care. Go play it. Like you're chopping fish at a plant, and you have to control your left hand and your right hand. And you hold the fish and you chop it with the right.
Feel it.
And you have to do this over and over 1,000 times. So you do it 10 times, and your character starts pretending he's playing a video game while he's doing it. And you do this, and you can move the fish, but you can also move your little character while you're moving this. So I'm moving this, and I'm moving a character. Well, eventually, his imagination grows so strong that I'm driving this boat down this beautiful river, and I'm still cutting fish heads, but it's taking up less and less of the screen. And the thing's going down different paths, and I can hear cheering, and there's like this beautiful music, and I'm playing like an RPG while I'm cutting off fish heads. And this is taking place over weeks and months. And like my character just keeps cutting fish heads off, and it's repetitive motion. I keep doing it because I had to keep doing it with my fingers. Mm-hmm. But my other fingers, like this finger and this finger, are controlling all the other stuff. And it's taking up more and more room and becoming more and more graphic and more awesome and like taking up more of the screen. It's getting colorful and the music's getting louder, and I can hear less of the fish chopping, to the point where it's like I don't even see the fish anymore, but I have to keep doing the motion because I can see the background of the fish and I know I have to keep cutting. Yeah. But I'm walking down and people are cheering for me, and I'm a king, and they're blowing trumpets and stuff, and all this crazy stuff happens, and there's like confetti everywhere, and I'm in a magical land, and I'm a king, I'm a prince, and I'm wandering around, and everyone's bowing to me, and I'm doing all this while I'm still cutting fish heads, very tiny in the background of the whole game. And I walk, and I'm going up to receive my crown, and it occurs to me as you're going, it's a chopper, and that in real life, your character actually puts his head on the blade one time and lops off his own head.
So he commits suicide in the game while he's daydreaming of something.
Yeah.
fantastical.
Yeah, and it's the wildest thing because it made me realize that, like, I don't know that was that sad. It was, but it wasn't.
Just monotonous.
His life was ruined. He was into drugs. He was in rehab a bunch of times. He had no real life, no girlfriends, no anything. So this is his only job, and his imagination is the only thing he cared about. Well, he created this grand world with real music and real people and real colors and real vivid imagery. And eventually they were crowning him king, and to claim his throne, he kind of puts his head on like where the crown was. And I don't know if he chops his own head or it just gets chopped off. It's just emphasized that he dies.
Crazy.
And it's one fell swoop, move, boom, he's done. And he died happy, I think, or he ended happy. Like, he will never be sad again. He won't be a burnout anymore. He's not going home and coming back to the fish plant anymore. He's not making minimum wage. He lives in his parents' house in one of the rooms in What Remains of Edith Finch. And it's just one small part of the game. I'm just pounding on one part that really touched a nerve with me. And it was just so cool, but like weird and sad. And I was like, is that happiness? I mean, this person had no chance to turn around their life. I think he's like a 35-year-old burnout who lives at home and works at the fish cutting plant. I mean, I have no idea.
So that makes me think of, I'm going to throw out like 4 things because we're probably going to hit them slowly.
Hit them all.
Hellbent.
Good
video. Nice analog.
Music video.
We'll come back to that. Like Xanax, harder drugs, and then like happiness. Is there a limit? Does it get shifted based on how you live or like what you put in your body? And do people feel happiness or sadness more or less intensely? So there's like 5 things there. A, hellbent. So
what's the item they're selling?
I think it's called Bliss in one of the versions. I know there's like 3 versions.
Oh yeah, Bliss. Right.
It's like a goggles you put on and you see the world as a happy place.
Look awesome, but it's like something you can buy from a store.
Yeah.
It's mass produced. You can buy Bliss. Everyone has to buy Bliss. It's $9.99. It comes in a box. It's goggles. It makes the world look beautiful. Oh, and it's the best selling thing in the world. Everyone's buying it. Everyone wants Bliss, right? Well, everyone's doing it, and everyone's very entertained by these goggles, and they're stuck in these goggles, and everyone's just walking around with goggles on because Bliss. Everyone wants it. Everyone has it. Consume it. Boom. Buy it. Makes you happy. But the one guy keeps taking off his goggles, and like the world around him is still sad.
So drab,
right?
Yeah.
It's very drab. There's no color, but this is the real world he's looking at.
He's trying to build his own version of bliss.
He was without the goggles, without a machine.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember what he sees off in the distance?
One of those spinny
merry-go-round. Yeah. What's it called, actually?
I don't even know what that childhood.
Did you have one of them? I think they outlawed them by the time we were kids.
I think you can kill people with that if you spin it fast enough.
Oh God, yeah. The things that they had. This is so funny. We're doing a podcast that won't be seen for like maybe years. Who knows? It's like a circle thing that's on a disc that spins.
Roundabout is what they call it, maybe?
A roundabout, sure. That sounds about right.
Merry-go-round?
I guess merry-go-round. Bars that you could hold on to. So a bunch of kids would get on and spin it as fast as they could, and centrifugal force throws you off. So that bad boy picks up some speed.
Yeah. I haven't seen those, like that version of it. Maybe the metal ones are now transformed into a plastic something or other that makes it so you can't get whacked by a pole.
And there's probably a speed limit, the ball bearings or whatever in the thing. Probably keep it to a limit.
So he sees that off in the distance because he's trying to emulate what he felt in his childhood, right?
Yes.
And I think
that's what he did as a kid.
He creates the invention that is better than whatever is existing.
Oh, we skipped one part. Remember where he goes to work because everyone works at a factory, and ironically, he's making goggles or something.
Yeah.
And while you work there, you can put them on, and his boss is yelling at him, and it's tedious work, and
he's laughing.
And he puts up, and the boss is like, "Hi!" He's wearing the Bliss goggles, and it's like, it's not real life. You're consuming something to make you think you're happy.
Yeah. So eventually he makes his own version, and then he's the boss yelling down at people. And I think he looks back on his own life and says, like, the things I was chasing were not true happiness.
The things, yeah.
Things.
That's a good one.
So that's also an analog for drugs. So like people doing hard drugs, like things that will destroy your brain.
Well, chasing money too. It's kind of anything that you chase.
I guess, yeah. You can. train your neural pathways to be a certain way so that you're stuck doing that thing and not ever being able to break out of your routine.
Any addiction, drugs, money, online shopping, booze, partying it up, having sex with strangers. Like, you can do almost anything that brings you physical pleasure. I think as long as it derives you physical pleasure, you can tie it to your happiness neurons. Does that make sense?
It does. There was an offshoot there, but I forgot where I was going.
I did it. Drugs. You're going towards drugs.
Oh, the one. No. It was So that's one thing I was worried about. So if I'm going after a job for money, and it's going to be so, like, how much time do you think it takes for you to become indoctrinated into whatever you're doing? Like, there's a time period where, like, video games, they can be very impactful because you're fully in it. But like a job, you're not fully in it, but it can still essentially brainwash you. So I'm worried that after X number of years, I'll be brainwashed a certain way, and then I won't be able to go back and be happy like I was as a kid.
How many hours in a week?
At a job or in general?
In general.
What's 24 times 7? Seems like 140 something. Well, it's 24 times 7. Oh, I did not type that correctly. 186 or 68. 168.
Okay.
My bad.
168
Dyslexia.
minus 40. Well, no. Minus the sleeping time. What's sleeping time from there? Roughly. How many hours a night do people get?
So, say waked full time is 16 hours a day. So you have 112.
Okay.
Minus
whatever the difference is.
Would say like 50 hours a week, probably including travel and getting ready and all that shit.
Okay.
So you have 62 hours of free time, quote unquote.
Free. Do whatever the hell you want. You have to mow your lawn or do your laundry at some point.
Yeah.
Or do dishes.
I would say half of that is taken up by monotonous stuff, routine stuff.
So what's that leave you with, the half?
Like 30 hours a week, which feels strange, doesn't it? Like, do we have 30 hours?
That even seems high. And then think of this, 40 hours of work.
Well, I already subtracted out 40 hours.
Oh, did you? You did the work? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then hold on. It doesn't matter if you subtracted it out. 40 hours of work, 30-ish hours to do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. This is chronos versus kairos. It is.
How is it?
Chronos is the quantity of time, and kairos is the quality of time.
Okay. Thank you. I thought you were talking about like religious retreats at certain high schools.
No.
I was like, who's Chronos? So did some people go on a different trip? That's
Chrono
weird.
Trigger? Come on now.
Chrono Trigger. Time. I
Yeah.
understand. So quality of time versus quantity of time.
So if you're trying to buy a quantity of time to make it more qualitative.
Quality?
Yeah. Because you think you could live a better life. I don't know. There are people doing jobs that they love and they can't. Likewise, there are people out there that what was the stat for the number of people on medications like a Xanax or something that makes you not, it takes the edge off, it makes people generally happy, I guess. Mood altering drugs. Like, there's an astounding number of people that are taking them.
I had Xanax before, like on a plane trip or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really like it. I felt like I was asleep and awake at the same time for just a long period of time.
1 in 6 Americans, apparently. 16%. So, like, there are people there that are probably, if they didn't have the drug, they'd be immensely upset. So, like, I guess other people see them as, like, maybe they're
plain,
well regarded, or plain, or they're, like, surprised that they can do a certain job.
I don't think you can be exciting or funny when you're on a drug like that.
You think, like, we're trying to apply a class of people, like a certain type, like, to, like, taking the drug. Like, if you take the drug,
No. I mean, when I took it, like, for my plane trip, I don't even remember it really. I think I was just like sitting there or something, or reading a book and not really remembering any of the words you read on the page. Like that thing where you read the whole book word for word and then you don't remember a single word you read and you're like, I'll reread that again.
Go back over.
Like, that's how I felt, yeah.
So how much time is like a knee slapper? Like, something that really gets you, and you just like a dark humor joke that you never thought of before. That just like how much like I could do like one of those a month, and I'd probably be happy. Like if that was my rate, I think I'd be good. Like
one a month.
One that just like pound daddies. Like just think about that. How's it going? Like if you have like I don't think that other people like have like knee slapper reactions to things. Like not like some people
like
don't.
When you laugh so hard you cry.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh my god. Let's see if I can find the exact. Because I sent it to my friend Dan, not this Dan, the other Dan. It's like 2 days ago. Where was it? And I might not be able to repeat it on the podcast, so it doesn't matter. But
okay,
it was the funniest damn thing I ever heard.
So I can tell my story.
Good. Please do.
So I was in that interview, and I did really well, and there were a bunch of people, like 5 people around a table, and they all seemed to be pretty happy, like with my answers. And towards the end of it, I was confident. Usually I'm overthinking things, and like I get anxiety. I didn't have any anxiety. And usually when I'm anxious, my hands sweat or they're like clammy or cold, but they weren't. So I say, oh, thank you for all of your time. And I'm getting ready to leave. I shake the first guy's hand. He's like, oh, good. Yeah, thank you, Dan. And I shake the next guy's hand. Yeah. Third guy's hand. And then the fourth guy, I go to shake his hand. And he's like the guy that's going to maybe potentially hire me. His hand was really sweaty and clammy.
Hell yeah.
I was like, well, why? Like, why is that guy's hand clammy?
Don't read too much into it because
some people are naturally sweaty.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, sometimes have you ever been in a situation where, like once or twice a year my hands peel? I don't know if you can see on the podcast or whatever. It has to do with the change of seasons and my allergies, I guess. But it's my hands will literally, all the skin will peel from them little by little. So it looks like I have eczema or whatever. And maybe it is eczema, but I only get it maybe twice a year. I think I get it in winter.
I feel like the like tiny, like a Deadpool, the tiny hand grows out of your, like it just sheds the bigger hand.
But it happened this week when I did my job interview. And I was like, should I shake the guy's hand? And I was like, it'll look weird if I don't. So, like, if I touch my hand, it feels like sandpaper because all this dead skin is, like, doing its thing. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And I don't want to be like, listen, this only happens once a year, sometimes twice a year. It's a change of seasons. Like, if you get into all that, you seem like a weirdo. So, I mean, I find it's weird when something is, like, once in a while wear a shirt that makes me sweat more.
And you lift up your arms and it's pity.
Oh, well, do you imagine if you did that when you met an attractive girl or something? And she's like, but it's literally the shirt, and you can't explain that. You're like, no, this is the shirt.
You can't explain it.
It's the shirt, and you're like, yeah, okay, buddy, it's the shirt, and you're like, oh, no, it's really the shirt, you bastard. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And you take pictures of your shirt every day and send it to them, and threatening, and maybe you take a real picture and Xerox it and send it to their house address every day. Boom, boom. They didn't even hire you. You're just sending them pictures of your armpits every day.
Not me. This is not me. So this fits in perfectly. So I shook that guy's hand.
Restraining order against you. Yeah.
I shook that guy's hand, and my hand was soaking wet. And then there's 5 people. The 5th person was an attractive woman. And I was like, she's going to think that I have sweaty hands now.
What if he shook someone's sweaty hand and was like, oh, gross. Now I got to shake the new guy's hand. And he's like, you probably become a clammy mother effer.
Yep.
See? There's weird things going on.
A split second, I was like, do I wipe my hand? Like, that would be inappropriate, wouldn't it? Like, the guy would see that I shook all their hands, and then I was finally like, oh. Yeah. I want to say,
I'm not. If you did it real quick, like, if you did, like,
dry your hand.
No. Like,
switch hands?
Like, you can do, no. Quick moves. Like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, my God. And then you, like you just touched your shirt.
Like a magician. He wipes the sweat off with his right hand while moving the wand with his left.
Like, in slow-mo, it looked like this. He'd be like, thanks, new boss. Oh, hey, how are you? But in real motion, it'd be like this. Oh, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. But, like, if you just touch yourself and then kept going, you could probably just wipe off some of that excess sweat.
I did not. I shook her hand.
Went sweating to her, huh?
I wonder if she's thinking about that now, determining whether to offer me the job. Like his hands.
On a podcast right now, and she's like, "I want to hire someone, but sweaty hands." So this isn't related, but I have to bring it up.
Yeah.
At my old job, there was a new guy, and he was like really awkward, and he was a Reddit dude. Like,
yeah. Yep.
You just know he's a Reddit dude. He asked me like within 5 minutes if I knew what Reddit was. I was like, I do.
You don't need to ask people.
I know. Anyway, he's like 5 years younger than us. Hey, and then like I was trying to show him around to like show him how to talk to customers and the products and stuff, and he would interject himself into like the conversation, and I was like, he's wrong, or I'm not going to stop him. And I'd be like, he's wrong, I'm not going to stop him. And I'm like, don't try and upsell this item. They don't want this. But like stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this guy, I hate him. And it's so awesome. He had tiny hands.
Super tiny
like
hands.
Baby hands.
Trump hands.
Like baby hands. When I went to shake his hand goodbye, it was like this. And I was like, I wrapped my whole hand around his hand and shook it. And I was like, what are you?
He needs like to you do the double hand grasp to make it feel like a real hand is shaking you. Like, oh.
Thank you.
So he like layers it in there.
Why I brought it up, but like little stuff like handshakes that we're just talking about, like those are deal breaks, not deal breaks. I mean, in a way they don't matter, but they do. So it messes with our happiness. Trying to bring it back, not really.
Yeah, but there's no, I don't know. Expectation is there. There's a desire to present yourself in a certain way. I'm bringing it back. I really am. But honestly, that's what
I remember the dark joke I laughed at so long. Yeah.
What was the dark joke? You're gonna.
It's not mine. Podcast called Come Town.
Oh, is this did you say this last time? I think you did.
Did I?
With the
midget?
I don't know if it was a midget.
Oh, okay, good. No. Okay. They asked if it's illegal. This is not my joke at all or anything. If you got a neighbor that's real creepy and you have a kid, and the neighbor hires a midget prostitute, like someone a smaller person, like a 4-foot person, and dresses them up like your son.
God.
Gives them the business.
That's so terrible.
An open view of you and your family.
Well, that's illegal.
Okay, good.
He would have to invite you over for drinks, and then he'd be inside his lair.
I notice you dressed up your midget friend like my child. I didn't touch anyone.
What is the precedent there, though? If you have like an open window and you're naked inside your own house, are you a sex offender by being naked in your own house that other people can see you through your... If
you open your windows, I think. So if you have no blinds, that might be on the onus on the peeper, not the Tom.
I could see... Like if someone was trying to like label you as a sex offender, they'd be like holding a child up to your window and be like, look at him, and you're like, I'm changing here, and then it's like the police bust in and they're like, what are you doing in here? I'm not doing anything, sir.
Why you got no clothes on, huh? Flashlight on you.
They'd be like,
note to self, this pervert has no clothes on while the baby's outside the window. It's a second floor window. How did the baby get up there? Note to self, resisting arrest. Peeping Tom versus lewd in public.
So apparently it hinges on intent.
Very state to state.
If you make strong eye contact and lick your lips, you're probably going to be in trouble.
You lick your lips, it's...
Awkwardly slow.
I would throw a brick through that guy's window. I would throw bricks through his window. You can keep jacking, dude. He's going to get glass in that penis. Because I'm throwing a brick in there.
PC 647A. Penal code.
Penal code. One of our favorite codes here on the Unpanders.
Back to happiness.
What makes us happy?
See, like, that's another thing that doesn't make any sense. It's the things that are so crude. Like, a lot of, like, Louis C.K. jokes. Like, a lot of Louis C.K. jokes are, like, so fucked up that they're funny.
They're funny.
It's a weird sort of dark humor that also makes things happy.
We had an old teacher that explained that. We make fun of his jokes all the time, make fun of him all the time. But he said, a joke is your expectation, A. And where the joke ends up, Z. That's called the delta. That's the amount of funny the joke is. And I was always like, this guy's a freaking joke. Maybe a little bit, though, right?
Yeah. Where it goes, in which direction.
But again, aren't we coming back to change being...
Yeah, delta.
Yeah, delta.
What do you think about mood-altering drugs? Like doing it for children. Like children who are like ADHD, they try to like give them Ritalin or something to calm them down.
How old? I mean, we're talking like 4 or like 12?
They diagnose them at like 5 or 6, and they like try to get you to give them medication. I have a problem with that. Some people probably need it.
That's too young.
Yeah.
There are kids who totally need it at 5, though. Like, I see relatives of friends of relatives that are like, I'm like, that kid needs some goddamn medicine. Shut the hell up. What if I knock this over? Don't knock it over. And they're knocking it over, and you're like, I'm going to hit your kid. But it's not a discipline thing. Like, they're not disciplined.
There's no way to correct it.
No. And they're going to knock that thing over in your house.
So do you think, like, through growing, becoming an adult, what age, you're supposed to mature at 25 is like when you're like peak adulthood or something, right? Like you finally cemented everything together.
Right, because you're talking pre-puberty, everything's going to change with puberty.
Yeah.
And you're still kind of growing into your body, and you do your... When do you physically stop growing? They say 25? Is that the number?
I don't know. I know peak athleticism was 22 or something.
23, 24, I thought it was. But regardless, we're splitting hairs.
Yep. So, like, my thing is that if you force a kid to be on a certain drug, are you stealing those, like, the highs and lows from them so they can't learn from it? Are you rewiring their brain?
I don't know that kid would learn from the highs and lows. I don't know that they wouldn't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't know that we're stealing their learning. Or maybe we're stealing their time. I don't know.
You're pushing off their development, maybe? If you're never stressed, how do you deal with stress once you take away the drug that prevents you from feeling stressed? Right.
Well, this is a thing on dependency.
Yeah.
You're going to need that. Otherwise, you're going to start facing stress. How do you deal with those things? Huh? Mother effer. What do you do when you have no attention to deficit? This is an ADHD kid. Yeah. And they're like, I don't know. Huh? A bat? Huh? A ball? Huh? Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know that you can cure it. So, like saying, hey, this ADHD kid at age 8, we put him on drugs for 4 years, and then we introduced him to a new stimulus without his drugs. And what did he do? He failed. I don't know that kid without the drugs from 8 to 12 would end up any different at 12. We introduced him to a new stimulus, same result. Like, do you know what I mean?
I wonder if there's a study on twins that does exactly this. We have to look into that.
Some on drug, some off drug?
Yeah.
It would be interesting.
I'm also kind of weird in the way that, like...
Are you saying that there's a certain group of people that are less than us and you would do tests on them and you're a scientist?
Yes. I also think that people feel emotions very differently. Like the highest highs and the lowest lows. Who that? I don't know.
The German bad guy scientist.
Are you talking about like
Goebbels?
Gerbils.
Was that what it was? He did a lot of tests on twins. Do you know that?
Yeah, they love twins because twins are like the perfect thing to test on.
That's like, yeah, because they have the same genes. So is it nature or nurture? Anyway, we'll get into that probably at the end of the episode too. Happiness versus.
Somebody said. Somebody was talking about. I don't know if this. I'll just talk about it anyway. So there's like the genetic makeup of somebody dictates nurture part of it, or the nature part of it, rather. And they said that Komodo dragons, like when they are laid, the mother runs away and doesn't come back because she will cannibalize the egg. So when that egg hatches, the Komodo dragon doesn't have any guidance whatsoever. They have to figure out everything by themselves. Mm-hmm. It's one of those weird things where it's like in their genetic code, it like tells them how to hunt and eat and feed.
Well, no offense. I was thinking this the other day. I was watching birds peck at worms in the ground. And I was like, what if a bird was just like, I want to go on the concrete and flip my legs on it and hit my legs as hard as I can on the concrete.
Be a bird,
has anyone ever seen him?
Like, I'm going to be a bird. I just want to be a bird.
Yeah, I'm going to be a bird. And just smack their legs on the ground as hard as I could. And they were like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then 3 days later, they were dead of starvation because that's all they did. Like, they didn't have...
You dumbass. What are you doing?
Yeah, but no one would tell that bird otherwise, right?
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't.
That dumbass. You're like...
He's just flapping his feet as hard as he can on the concrete. He's like, this feels awesome. Like, this
is the plot to Happy Feet.
But no one... It kind of is. But no one tells the birds what to do. Like, they kind of just... You naturally feel it.
So,
God,
are we
skipping to the end? But
are we naturally designed
supposed to do, dude? I have no idea.
To keep moving? Are we? Well, like this is essentially like we're the blight, right? Because we're trying to do something and progress something, but while we're doing it, we're constantly consuming and destroying things. I think I'm different because I don't think most people think about that.
This guy.
And
also, you think you're
I'm a thinker. So
I'm a thinker. I'm different, girl.
Also, the bittersweet moments and I don't know that many people like rain, but I love rain. Like things that mostly people feel sad about. Rain. I'm like, it's an experience. It's kind of like Epicurean, where you're just like, I want to absorb experiences, even though they might be terrible, might make me feel bad. It's like that's the sweet is never as sweet without the sour.
Vanilla Sky, yep. Jason Biggs, thank you very much.
Yep.
Sweet is never as sweet without the sour. Your taste buds only ever had sweet things for their entire lives. If you only ate the same thing for your entire life, if you only experienced the same happiness your entire life, it wouldn't feel happy. We talked about Delta a lot, weirdly enough, and we're coming back to it. So, we touched on this in the lottery episode. People who win the lottery can never achieve a higher high than that.
True.
I mean, the highest high is winning that lottery. So then, if you buy your Porsche, if you buy your fancy house, if you buy a skateboard, if you buy the newest computer, if you buy his newest sound system, if you
have all the newest stuff.
What if you buy the new shoes? I don't know.
So that's
you're not gonna
materialistic analog.
Sure.
You're pointing out. I was actually going to say like astronauts. Astronauts train to be the best in their field, and they go up there and they execute. But there's a certain time frame where you're too old to be an astronaut. So what do? You've achieved something that like almost nobody ever achieves, and you've trained for it for years.
What's the one who's always tweeting and everything? Is that Glenn or
that's Commander. What's H? Damn it. Is it Hadley? Shit.
Sure. Regardless, what are they doing? Like now that they're not doing it anymore.
Tweeting.
But like what? Like aggressive stuff? Like suicide memes? Or like are they like, check out this space
Hadfield.
Cool stuff?
Chris Hadfield.
That's cool.
Canadian guy. He's the one who's very popular. He's very well spoken. So like I don't know. I know
most Canadians are.
Yeah. Thank you. So I believe that that there are astronauts. I know some astronauts personally, and they just kind of exist. They try to invent things. They have like I think there's actually a podcast of an astronaut that like has a bunch of random shit in his garage, and he tries to like invent something. And he also sits down and like talks to other astronauts. So he spends his time trying to like, I guess, extract what he experienced and then share it with others.
But no one else can experience that.
True, but can you experience the fantasy of a book? If someone writes a book about something that doesn't exist.
I didn't carry a sword and go on horseback and cut down,
the Dothraki, yeah.
Sure.
I want to talk about.
Well, what's happiness there? It's the change in your ordinary life from this fantasy life.
Why does fantasy make you happy?
Because of the delta?
Maybe it's teaching you new things. Like, it's like, not that it's actually possible, but it's like a feeling of being experienced.
Think of this. I mean, you're never going to carry a sword. You're never going to go into battle. You're never going to kill an orc. And you're never going to get rewarded by an elf queen, Galadriel, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like
each of these things is a pretty big delta from your life. It's huge, in fact.
But the characters in a fantasy novel have to resonate with you. You have to be related, like you have to relate to them in such a way that you feel like you can be a piece of them. There are certain fantasy movies, Lord of the Rings, and maybe the other one, The Hobbit, that suck. Because I don't feel like
the movies.
Yeah, the movies.
But, no, from a book perspective, they were actually really good. The hobbits were like the humans of the whole other world. They didn't have special powers. They were looked down on. They had hairy feet. They kind of sucked. But they ended up being the hardiest of all the species. That's why Bilbo and Dildo. Sorry, I had to laugh.
You were thinking about penis, weren't you?
And, of course. And Frodo were the only ones who could carry the ring, because all the other species, if they put on the ring, they would kind of get turned right away.
Yeah.
It's weird that the Hobbit, who had no powers and just hairy feet and would never go to battle, was like the hardiest creature. And it was like they were hardworking, kind of. They were shorter. Everyone kind of laughed at them and thought they were a joke, but they were stronger than the others in resisting magic. And it's like, whoa, that's kind of cool.
Okay. If you
like
introduce...
looks down on them like they're normal jamokes, but they got powers? And it's like, well, they don't have powers, but they're stronger than all these other
strong-willed
dwarves and
abstract feelings.
It was kind of cool. I think that made them more relatable in a book sense. I don't know that you catch that in the movies, but
so I don't think I've ever watched a movie where they introduced a character and killed them immediately. Like, can you think of one?
Bambi.
There's a familial relationship, though. I know, but that pulls on your motherly or sonnerly. I don't know what you would call it.
No, I mean, I've been seeing Bambi since I had a kid. I didn't watch Bambi in the past.
It's sad because the mom dies in the beginning, right?
Right away. She's friggin' shot.
Yeah, but you know the relationship there, so it's like your own mom dying. So it pulls on something you already know. But it's not like it's a character with no connection whatsoever.
You need time to make a connection. So how are you going to make a connection?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because you have to relate to the characters in a fantasy novel or movie in order to feel like they're that piece of you. That's why Marvel bring it together in like Endgame or Infinity War. They're pulling on all the elements of a character to make you feel different pieces of yourself in those characters.
Relax here with your spoiler talk. Jeez, I'm getting uncomfortable. Do you want to touch on anything else for the audience that would go over my head and wouldn't spoil it for me?
There were moments in both movies that actually got to me.
Fat Thor.
Surprisingly, you've seen it?
No, but I just keep seeing pictures of Fat Thor. I'm like, good Lord, what is Fat Thor?
They're ruining your happiness.
For me.
And people like to shit on your happiness. So that Schadenfreude, where you see somebody being Schadenfreude. Is that what it's Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude? I don't know. But anyway, I know what you're talking about. Well, here's my thing. I've seen a picture of Fat Thor. There's like T-shirts being made for.
It's inevitable, yeah. Inevitability.
I mean, is knowing that Fat Thor exists or existed or could exist
not necessarily going to ruin it for you, but it could. Good. If someone showed you the last frames of the movie.
Wait, it's at the end of the movie? That does change things.
That he becomes fat?
He becomes fat?
He has to eat one of the characters in order to survive.
Stop. Now you're trying to throw me off the track. This is called covering the tracks. Like, you know, the funniest thing characters always do in a movie where they're hiding from the law or running from the bad guys. No, I was going with cover our tracks. And they would use a big branch to wipe out their footprints in snow. That wouldn't work in like hard snow. Like, think about that. You'd be like, damn it, we need a shovel and like a snowblower. We need like 2 shovels and 2 snow blowers and a blower. Let's just melt the snow.
And leave an even more obvious track, a path, so they can walk on it.
Follow the melted path. Anyway, go
ahead. No, I was just talking about how it has to be relatable. And there are moments that were relatable in a surprising way, in a realistic way, even though it was a fantasy world. It's strange how like you can feel something that's obviously happiness and joy through a medium that doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. So people can be like Edith Finch. They could believe they're somewhere else and be extremely happy. I could see people that have no stress in their life, but they live what I would consider a shitty life, but they're very happy doing it. I think they're on drugs, maybe they're not. But somehow maybe people are wired differently to feel happiness. Like all the time. Like if you felt happiness all the time, would you know it? Or would that just be you? You would just be a personality.
Be the status quo, right?
Would that become normal? Or are people just like constantly amping it up?
I don't think you can be happy all the time. I mean, you can't. Then it's not happiness. You need the peaks for the valleys. Anyone who doesn't have a kid, I always say this to them. I'm like, don't have a kid, dude. It's crazy. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Everybody says, everyone who has a kid, it's like, it's crazy. It's like,
it takes up all your time. You're constantly doing stuff. You're going to get poop in your face and in your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Pink eye.
So I put it this way.
You're going to shit on your
Life
dreams.
without a kid is like this. It's like, whoa, my mortgage is due. Whoa, this. Like, I got to do this. Oh, my God, I won this. I don't care. When you have a kid, it's like way different. It's like this. Wow, I'm sleep deprived and I can't get to work in time. And oh my God, the kid shit all over the diaper and it leaked out the back. And oh my God, I got in the car seat. Can you wash a car seat? I know the cloth is removable. I didn't ask if it's removable. I said, can you wash the car seat? It's covered in poop. And they're like, well, where's the kid? And you're like, he's
take them now. Take them.
Jesus Christ, hold on, give me a minute. And the other kid's touching the poop. The other kid touched the poop. I can't stop him. He's on his hand. Don't touch it. Don't touch the poop. And you're screaming, and the whole time you have a hernia, and you're trying to pick one up, and the other one hurts. And you're like, you're getting a phone call, and you look, and you're like, oh, it's the interview place. Honey, you got to take both the goddamn kids. Cover both their goddamn mouths. I have to take this call. And you're screaming at your significant other, and you got 8 things going on. And the whole time you're like, Jesus Christ, we have a dog. Did anyone walk the dog? He shit in the house. The dog shit in the house. Are you kidding me? He shit in the house. Just like the kid shit in the car seat. Let's just shit everywhere, honey. Honey, let's shit everywhere. And you're doing this over like a 5-minute span where your life couldn't get any worse. It's the worst thing in the world. Anyone who doesn't have a kid has no idea. You're sleep deprived. You can't turn it off. It's the lowest low. You don't get lower than that. But my kid today, like, he was watching a movie and he asked me to lay down. And I was like, what do you want, dude? And he just wanted to lay down on me, to put his arms over me, to put his head down and watch the movie.
Did he puke all over you?
Cars too. No. He just literally wanted to lean against me to watch the movie.
Oh.
And he didn't say I love you or anything, which he does sometimes. But like this, I was like,
oh. It's just a sweet thing.
I got you, dude. And he's like, sit here, Dada. I want to watch a movie. And I'm like, okay. I love you. like my heart was filled with so much joy, and he was like just laying there, and we were watching like Cars 2 or something, and like I had my other arm around him, and I was like, I think at some point he said, "I love you, Dada," like because that's his new sentence, and I was like, yeah, like he said it. He's been able to say it for like 2 years, but he doesn't say it.
He doesn't know what it means,
right? And he just said it like the other day, and I was like, this makes me feel higher than you could feel without a kid. Like there's something so, I don't know, like, but it's the roller coaster. We talked about this at the beginning of the episode. It's lower lows than you could ever experience anywhere, and it's higher highs.
It's the growth. It's the maturity.
Sine wave is much greater.
Yeah, it is impressive to see how far they can come when they didn't have anything, like they couldn't shit on their own, they piss their pants, and they just destroy everything essentially. And then all of a sudden they're doing things, they're taking care of themselves, and it's like, oh, I don't have to do it anymore.
You're like, what the fuck? You can do that? When did you start that? I want to ask them and be like angry at them. When did you learn this? Where's Rachel? But that's how life is, I guess. I don't know. We were talking about the delta. I mean, the delta seems to... We keep coming back to the delta. I didn't think we would. If you live a life with no change at all, you're going to be content, which I believe was in the definition of happiness.
It was. A version of happiness.
A version. Like my dad takes the same route to work, the same roads. He turns off the same road. He gets coffee from the same place in the morning. Like he leaves at the exact same time in the morning. He gets home at the exact same time every day. And for him, that's normalcy. When I'm 3 minutes late, he calls me. Where are you? What's going on? And
There's something to be said about
relax,
stability.
I'm around the goddamn corner, dude. I'll be there in 1 minute. I had way too much to drink. I was doing a podcast on happiness, Dad.
So there was
Go ahead. But I was gonna say, like, he doesn't change. I take different routes to work. I take 309 sometimes. God bless. Oh my God.
I think there was an owner or GM of a basketball team that had planned to buy houses, like a complex for his family. And he spent all his time working. And by the time he built the complexes, his children had already kind of left the nest. And they had created their own lives, which is good. But he realized that, like, the complex was not the vision that he saw. It wasn't like people are going to be under my tutelage and they'll be happy. It's like the expectations for him were unrealistic, and he always looked back and said, like, I shouldn't have built like this complex, this fortress. Yeah, essentially, because it wasn't what I thought it was. Or it didn't become what I thought it was going to be. And he should have spent more time with his kids rather than trying to work harder to build something physical.
Then you get into the planning for the future, living in the past versus being present in the now.
Mm-hmm. Kairos. And that's how we wrap it up. Hope.
Folks.
Joy.
I think hope. Hope. Let's go with hope real quick.
It's solid like a rock. In your own home where no one can see you.
Let's just finish on hope. Hope is the weirdest one because hope, as you mentioned, ties to faith.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? You could have faith.
I hope I can have an abortion in Alabama. Like, that's all. Like, who knows what's going to happen in the future?
I thought it was
Alabama.
It
is Alabama.
Is it Georgia or is it Alabama? It was Georgia.
Alabama. Trust me. Hope is funny because it's not Georgia. It's
Georgia
Alabama.
And Alabama.
Oh, wait. Georgia
Both.
passed it too?
Yeah.
Did Georgia pass it? Are you official? Or are they thinking about it?
I don't know. I mean, this is recent.
Matter.
We don't know.
It's going to be aired in like 10 years.
Yeah.
All knows. Hope is weird in that
abortion. No, what? Hope is weird.
No, in that like people who have faith have hope.
So
or do they not? I don't know.
Is it weird that, like, the people that came over as immigrants way back when to America, they spent months on a ship? Like, how much hope did they have to put trust in a month-long journey or multiple month-long journey to get to some place where they never had no clue it was there? They had no information.
Occam's razor, which says the easiest answer is usually the best, tells me that life was so shitty at the other location that it beat that.
So
like, do you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, 100%. It's like inevitable death poverty and starving to death. And it's like, hey, let's go on this boat and try the new land. That's the only reasonable excuse, because I couldn't imagine people being like, I'm wealthy here in Ireland. I'm going to go off to the Americas to check out the new land. Like, no one's going to do that. You have to be near death, near starvation, near poverty, near... Maybe they just cut up a few women. Maybe what's his name did. Well, I was thinking of our episode earlier.
Oh, you're talking about Jack the Ripper?
Jack the Ripper.
He did flee the city and go to France. And then
maybe he went to the United States.
He jumped around, yeah. Bobby Tumblety.
États-Unis, as we say.
I think his name was Bobby Tumblety.
Was it?
I think so.
Are we sure?
Yes. All right. I feel good, content,
hopeful.
Met my expectations a little more so than I thought. Beyond expectations. Slightly.
I hope so. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Yeah.
We like you.
We like you.
We like you
a lot.
Friggin'